I, 27 female, gave birth to my and my husband's 31 first child almost 2 months ago. She's a perfect little girl, and I was so excited to have my family meet her. I have 3 older sisters who all have kids as well. A fun tradition that my family does is to have small get-togethers once the baby's about 2 to 3 months old. We don't announce the baby's name until after the birth to make it a surprise. At the little party, we give the parents a bunch of little gifts with the new baby's name. My grandmother always quilts a beautiful baby blanket and embroiders the baby's name. She's done this for all of my sisters and cousins. The issue is the name my husband and I chose for our daughter. For context, my grandma has a unique history with her name. She was born Lucille, but from the time she was 8, she told everyone she met that her name was Barbara. She did this for years until even her family called her Barbara. She even got her name legally changed. As a child, I always asked her why she changed it. She said she liked Barbara better. It became a family joke, but she never seemed upset about it and always laughed with us. My husband's grandmother raised him from when he was a baby to when she passed away when he was 19. Her favorite celebrity was Lucille Ball. She and my husband used to watch I Love Lucy all the time together. He misses her very much and said he would love to honor her somehow. Her name was Mary, but we chose to have that as our daughter's middle name. We decided that Lucy is a name we both loved and would honor his grandmother and maybe make mine chuckle a bit. After I gave birth, my husband and I were FaceTiming my entire family when we announced the name. A few of my relatives laughed and said it was cute, but my grandma was dead silent. When I asked her what was wrong, she demanded to know why I chose Lucy. I was shocked and confused. I began to try and explain, but she suddenly hung up. This significantly dampened the mood. My grandma wouldn't answer any calls from me afterward. I asked my oldest sister, and she said my grandma was offended and thought we were mocking her. She said she's not coming to the party in a few weeks to meet my daughter in person, and that she's not giving the baby quilt to us unless we apologize and change our daughter's name. I don't know why it's escalated so much. My grandma's always been kind. I'm still trying to figure out what to do. Births in my family are always celebrated and happy events, but this has ruined it. I almost feel like some of my relatives are ignoring me because they don't want to pick sides, but I don't even understand why there's a fight. Dealing with this, along with my newborn, has been incredibly stressful. My family's puzzled as well, but most of them are saying I shouldn't have chosen a name I knew my grandmother disliked, or at least I should have asked her about it first. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. You can name your child whatever you want. Honestly, for your grandma to make such a big deal over something that has zero significance to anyone but her, to the point of punishing you and her grandchild, is malevolent, childish, and downright mean. You have 2 choices. Change your child's name to appease a woman who won't even explain and won't be around long, or name your child what you want and not have a quilt or goodwill from your grandma. It could be that your grandma will settle down in time, but perhaps she won't ever. So I have a similar story, but it's about my name. My grandpa had a sister who had been abused by their parents and suffered terrible mental health, and my grandpa cared for her until he had to go to World War II. She chose to go away while he was on duty. He never said her name again. My grandma never knew she ever existed. It was simply too painful for him. Well, I was born many decades later, and my parents tell my grandparents my name, which by chance is his sister's name, and my grandpa had what looked like a stroke and went catatonic and was in the hospital. The story comes out, but by this time, my name is announced, everyone knows it, etc. Grandpa was in his 80s. He couldn't really process his trauma. The workaround in my family was my grandpa chose a name for me. It was added as a middle name, and everyone on my mom's side of the family called me by that name in my grandpa's presence. When I was little, I was told my mom's family used my Norwegian name, while my dad's family used my Irish name. When I was a bit older, I was told the full story. Grandpa and I were very close, and although he never called me by that name, when he was dying and mentally not all there, he called me Little Bird and Darling Sister. So while he couldn't bring himself to say her name, the fact that I had it made him identify with me in a special way. Honestly, no idiots here because it's clear your grandma has some deep trauma, but you did nothing wrong. Wow, mate, that cuts deep. Hugs to you. It's a heart-wrenching story with a good solution for the OP. Use Mary or another name till Grams passes. My own grandmother did not speak to my mother for 6 months over my name. Sorry to hear of this situation for you. I can only say time will heal it in the long run. My ex-wife and I divorced 6 years ago. We married really young. She's very religious, and there was extra pressure from her family to marry. I was young and dumb and had just left the military with no sense of direction. We were very different, but it didn't come out as we had only dated for 8 months before marrying. It all felt very romantic to marry after such a short time, but after we wed and moved in together, it was clear we weren't a good match. We stuck it out for 8 years, but it wasn't working, and we were both older, so the whole thing of living miserably to make other people happy, her and my parents, didn't appeal anymore. I don't blame her for any of it. I think we just didn't understand what we wanted at that time and did things to please other people. We had an amicable divorce, and our son lived with her until high school. He's with me for high school because we live near a top school, and she lives in a small town without a good high school. He's supposed to spend summers and holidays with her and come here during the school year. My ex-wife got diagnosed with cervical cancer last month, and it was caught late, so it's already spread. The long-term survival rates aren't great, and I want my son to visit his mother in a week or two before she goes through her hysterectomy. My vacation renews every June 30th. I had saved 2 weeks to go to Hawaii this winter break. However, with this situation, I want to take a week or two to go with my son to be there for him. His mom won't be able to cook and clean for him, and he also wants me to drive them up to the next city to visit his grandparents. The other issue is my son might have to stay with us for this winter break. He is supposed to go to his mom's, but it's unlikely now, depending on her treatment schedule, and I don't want to go on vacation with him home alone with this happening. My girlfriend is not happy because we have winter break set up to go to Hawaii, and our flights have been booked. I called the airline and they said they could switch our flights to a later one for $600, which I offered to cover so we could rebook the vacation for next fall instead. But she thinks my son should be able to return alone and thinks I'm wasting my vacation going with him when we already have plans. My son does go on flights by himself. He's mid-teens. However, this time my ex isn't going to be physically able to take care of my son. There are also a lot of things to be done and prep for my son and my ex before she goes through chemo and surgery. My girlfriend's upset that I'm prioritizing my ex over her, but I see it as going because my son might lose his mom. Oh wow, your current girlfriend is cold and heartless. Not the idiot. You're doing the right thing by your son. He will experience tragedy, and your girlfriend's more concerned about her vacation plans. She's jealous of a dying woman? I cannot imagine being so insecure that I pout over my partner wanting to be there for his child during such a difficult time. I'd be proud to be dating someone so caring and compassionate. You need to ask yourself if this woman is really who you want to be with, especially since you have a son to think about. Do you really want to date someone who's this callous to your kid? Reframe this in your head. You are prioritizing your son's needs over your girlfriend's wants. You would be a terrible parent if you didn't prioritize your son's physical and emotional well-being while he's in the process of potentially losing his other parent. Any partner who doesn't understand that and support your being there for your son is not a partner worth having. Rebook for next year and try to find a better girlfriend to bring with you on the rebooked trip. Or better yet, bring your son with you instead. My wife and I have been married for about 2 years and have been renting our entire time together. We've talked about buying a house together in the future, but the problem is that she can't save money. We live in a 2-bedroom apartment because she needs one as her walk-in closet. She has the newest iPhone, Apple Watch, AirPods, and AirPods Max. She just bought herself a Tesla while I drive a 2015 Honda. Don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining. In fact, I'm perfectly okay with her spending her money because we're both young and she deserves to enjoy her life. Recently, her aunt announced that she'll be moving into a retirement community and will be selling her house. Since they're close, she offered to sell it to us before listing it. She wants $75,000 down and will finance the purchase for us. Honestly, it's a good deal, but the problem is my wife has less than $500 saved, so I'll have to pay the entire $75,000. The monthly payments for the house will be more than our rent, so I'll have to cover the difference as my wife can't pay more. Then there's the yearly $6,500 in property tax, which I'll have to pay for myself. Lastly, the house needs a new roof, which will cost $18,000. She and her aunt were talking about this like it was a done deal, but all I see is a bunch of money I have to pay out all on my own. I told her Friday that we should pass on this one. She kept saying what a great deal it was and that we had always planned on getting a house to start a family. After hours of discussions, I got tired and told her we would get a house when she got past her spending phase and started the saving phase. I pointed out all the above-mentioned costs, and she was hurt. She cried and said that we were supposed to be a team, then went to bed. She hasn't spoken to me since Friday night, and we were supposed to go to her parents' house for dinner tonight. Her aunt will be there, and I know the house thing will come up. Am I wrong for not wanting to buy the house myself? Edit. I'm 29 and she's 25. We both work full-time. She makes about $85,000, and I make about $150,000. Our rent is $1,300 a month. A Tesla? With $500 to her name? For the love of God, open your eyes. Sir, there's no other way to say this. You've chosen a wife very, very, very imprudently. This woman will lead you to financial ruin before you can even believe it. You're enabling someone who thinks she's entitled to live beyond her means at any cost, even if that means she'll drag you down with her. This is someone who doesn't understand the concept of self-regulation or telling herself no. She lives for instant gratification. You'll end up in a mountain of bills you'll never be able to dig yourself out of. You will be a slave to creditors, collection agencies, etc. That'll be your fate. Do with that what you will. This. OP also. Please keep checks on her debts. A debt taken by your SO during marriage will become your debt. For some reason, I feel that she's headed in that path to fund her lifestyle, if not already there. Some people don't reach the saving phase ever, as they're just very materialistic and connect happiness with possessions. It won't change ever. We're supposed to be a team? Look in the mirror, lady. Her out-of-control spending has made her not a team player. She's not mature enough for the responsibility of owning a home. Someone who pays extra rent for a 2-bedroom apartment to use one of the bedrooms as a walk-in closet is not in a financially healthy headspace. If your wife wants the house, she can sell her Tesla to pay her share of the down payment. Update. Am I the idiot for not wanting to buy a house with my wife? Her aunt got several quotes on the roof. The roof is old, not damaged, so insurance won't cover it. I've never owned a house, so I don't know how it works, but that's what she told us. There are other things the house needs, but the roof is the immediate need. The insurance guy said it needs to be done before the current coverage runs out, and they offer new coverage. Aunt went to a realtor and had the house appraised. She offered to sell to us below the appraised price and finance without any interest, which is why I said it was a good deal. Her aunt wants $75,000 down because she'll use that money to move into the retirement community. She said the house was appraised at $400,000, but she'll sell it to us for $350,000 and wants us to pay it off in 10 years. The monthly payment will be about $2,300 a month. My wife and her aunt came to these figures based mainly on how long her aunt expects to be active and wants to use the money to travel and enjoy life. At dinner, my wife and her family told me what a great deal this is. I have zero experience buying a house, but I didn't really argue with them. I calmly told them that I wanted an independent appraisal so that we could have the full financial information. They said the realtor already told them how much it's worth, and they have the tax appraisal. As some of you advised, I stuck to my guns and said I wanted a professional and independent appraiser. I also told them I would call my older brother and have him fly out here to help me because he has experience while I have none. They agreed, and things went smoothly after that. We're sleeping in the same bed again, and she's happy I'm seriously considering the house. Tomorrow I'll find an appraiser, and we'll see what happens. OP, please be careful. I suggest getting a postnuptial agreement if you don't already have a prenup. Your wife and her family are giving major red flags. If you want to buy a house, don't go for the aunt's house, because if the roof is so old it needs fixing, then a lot of other things also need fixing. They are giving major red flags. Run from this deal. That house will be the death of your finances and you. I am 22 female in college, but I work as a babysitter after school. I've been working with this mother since I was 20, and she never complained about me. Her kids loved me. That's why I stayed with her for 2 years. I have a friend who was asking me what it's like to work with children. I said it was fine, not great, but not bad. Children can be tiring. You just have to control yourself and don't let tantrums get under your skin. It's going to be fine. I cited, though, even though I'm a person who generally doesn't love children, I still had the job for 2 years with 0 complaints, which is proof that I know how to deal with kids and how to throw away my personal feelings when it comes to work. I told my friend that through text, and I was just giving her my raw experience and opinion. I was at the lady's house 2 weeks ago and left my phone charging but got no notifications from that friend. The lady was still home and noticed my phone getting bombarded with notifications, so she, for some reason, opened it. I guess she knew the PIN code because I sometimes give the kids my phone to play a little bit. She took screenshots from the chat, airdropped them to herself, and then left. I didn't realize that until my duty was finished, and I went home, seeing that she hadn't sent me the payment yet. I waited till it was late, then I texted her, but she sent me the screenshots, saying that I'm an awful human being who hates children. I don't deserve money, and she doesn't want to see me in the house again. I already found a new job, but my friend told me I should report this lady for refusing to pay me, especially since she waited to fire me after I finished work to benefit from my presence as much as she could. Also, nowhere did I say I hated her children specifically or did anything to them. Neither can she prove it over 2 years because it never happened. Not the idiot. I'm glad you'll never work for her again because anyone who would go through your phone without your permission is a real problem. Anyway, you need to get paid for services rendered, and hopefully the texts speak for themselves and don't make you look like she's trying to portray you, and that'll be clear to anyone who sees them. I hope this doesn't have any lingering effects on your ability to work for another family. Sue her in small claims and spread the word to any nannies or enterprising college kids that you might know that she doesn't pay. She violated your privacy, stole your time by forcing you to continue work when she had no intention of paying, and stole your already earned money, just like she had reached into your wallet. Excuse me? Report to whom? Who exactly do you plan to report her to? Was the work through an agency? No. That will not be worth your time spent and the possibility of missing classes. Just move on. Small claims court filings aren't worth the $20 you'd get from a night of babysitting, or whatever this pays nowadays.